Hey everyone, welcome to the channel where we talk about all things movies. Welcome especially if you're new. If you love to talk about movies, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my reviews when they drop. I post about 2 or 3 per week. Welcome back if you've been here before. Today we're here to talk about The Northman. I just got back from seeing it at the theater, so let's get into it. So this movie is an action-filled epic that follows a young Viking prince on his quest to avenge his father's murder. Now, my kind of anticipation level going into this movie was pretty high. I've seen the trailers for it, and I just like from the look of it, it looked like it could really be my type of movie. One of my favorite movies growing up is Lord of the Rings. I really like Game of Thrones, and this just looks like it's not quite fantasy, but it looks kind of in that tone as far as medieval, sort of gritty take on things. And so I was looking forward to it, but I mean, I was also going in with my reservations. I know movies like this also, say, like The Green Knight from last year, while really well made, I found kind of boring. So I did recognize that, maybe this could be a similar case. But with that, let's get into it and, yeah, just talk about my thoughts on the film. So starting off with the things that I liked about the film, and the main one here is just the cinematography. It's very, very well shot. There's just a ton of natural lighting and that sort of thing for how the film looks. So the night scenes are very dark and just lit by moonlight, and the day scenes have kind of a grayish, more natural light tone. And I really like the look of this film. So I would say it's definitely one that you want to watch either at the theater where you can get complete blackout or at night. Like yeah, there are enough scenes at night where I think having that atmosphere where it can get very, very dark in the room is really beneficial for this film. But apart from just the look of it, there are several like long takes throughout the entire film, and some of them go back to back with like it's like a super long take with just one cut in the middle. But I really appreciated that. You could tell. I think that's a very good sign of a well-crafted movie when it comes to cinematography. And yeah, so overall, that was one of my favorite things about the film. Next up, I thought the acting was really good all around. I mean, I could go through the list between all the characters. I think everyone pulled their weight. So I would just say great job to the casting director and getting all of the actors to come on board and just get really a stellar cast. And then other things that I really liked how they kind of mixed in mythology to this. So it is like a medieval film, but they definitely mix in kind of magical or mythological elements. It kind of reminded me of the live action Mulan in that way, where it was like a realistic take on a story, but you definitely have some sort of fantasy elements. But it still feels very grounded despite that. So that was interesting to see. I didn't really expect that going into the film. Maybe at least just a little bit, but not as much as they ended up using. And then lastly, I thought the first and third acts were really, really well done. And yes, very solid start to the movie, and I especially liked the ending and how everything kind of concluded. But kind of now getting into some of my mixed aspects or negatives, the second act for me did kind of drag and lose my interest a bit. Now, I don't know if that's just because that was the act that it was a little hard for me to follow. I think it would be kind of interesting to see this movie again and see if I maybe understand things a bit better. But there's definitely a few things within, I think it's primarily the second act where yeah, still not really sure what exactly happened. I can kind of guess, but for me, it's a little frustrating sometimes when you can't quite fully understand a film just from the way that it's being presented. But maybe that's on me. So I don't necessarily knock the film in and of itself, but it does knock my personal enjoyment of it. And then other things in the mixed bag, I thought what's going in there for me is the music. I thought there were portions of the music that were really well done and fit the mood of the film. They incorporate a lot of like the strings as far as I think it's probably a cello, like the lower strings, maybe it's a violin, but it kind of reminded me of some of the themes like the Stark themes or the Winterfell themes from Game of Thrones, and more Norse. It's like, yeah, I think it's what you kind of typically see for Norse music in films. But I thought, yeah, those parts I liked, but then there were, I think, other parts where the music just didn't really stand out, if there was any. So that was kind of a mixed bag throughout the film for me. And then lastly, I thought that the there's one twist that I definitely saw coming in the story, and I don't know. I wish I hadn't, because I think it would have been really cool to not see it coming. But I mean, I wasn't totally convinced of it, but I definitely thought of it and was, yeah, I don't know. I had kind of ruled it out because maybe it was too obvious. But yeah, that's kind of the only other mixed thing that I can think of. So overall, I do think this is a very, very good film. I thought, the action was really good as well. That's, and how it's captured on film. Like, you can have good action, but if it's not edited properly and not shot properly, who cares? But the action was good, and it was captured on screen very, very well. So yeah, overall, this is a very good movie, one that I'd highly recommend. I think for me, this is just a well-crafted revenge story that is just put to the screen so well through the beautiful cinematography. Now, I would say it's a borderline great film in my book, or kind of top tier. I'd give it a letter grade of an A. I thought about maybe giving it an S, but what keeps it from being kind of in that S tier with my favorite movies is the second act, and that it just kind of lost my interest a little bit, and definitely made the movie feel a little slow. So it comes in at only, I think, a little over 2 hours. But I think the second act ended up making it feel almost like a 3-hour film for me. But the strong start, the first act and the third act being as strong as they were, it still had me thinking, is this potentially S tier? And I think it's borderline, but I'm gonna put it in the A tier overall. So that does it, though, for my review for The Northman. If you've been able to see the film, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it down in the comments below. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to smash the like button. And with that, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next review.